The Mayor's told ITV News London he wants £100 million of funding from tomorrow's budget to build more social housing. The Treasury is set to announce an extra £500 million for the government's Affordable Homes programme. And Sadiq Khan says a fifth of that should be going to the capital. But his critics say he's already behind on hitting his housing targets and another bailout isn't going to help. Our political correspondent Simon Harris reports.
London's housing crisis shows no sign of easing anytime soon. In Ilford, Redbridge Council is building 160 new flats, but it's a drop in the ocean.
So in Redbridge, we've got 8,000 families waiting for a council home right now, and the waiting list currently is nearly 16 years. So we call it a housing crisis, but actually the truth is more like a housing emergency across London.
Local authorities hoping to build more affordable homes face a series of obstacles. Higher interest rates have made it more expensive for councils and housing associations to borrow money. Inflation has seen the cost of many building materials rocket, and there's a growing shortage of skilled workers. Nasser would love a new council house. The 73-year-old came to the UK to escape war in Yemen. He and his family of 5 live in less than ideal conditions in a 2-bedroom private rental flat at Willesden in Brent.
I have 4 children here. My wife, who is very mentally sick. My other son is mentally sick. The flat is not enough for us.
When Sadiq Khan was first elected, he promised solving London's housing crisis would be a key priority. But he's been accused of missing his own targets. Now the Mayor's hoping for an extra £100 million from the Chancellor.
Well, basically it means we can be working with councils, working with those registered providers who provide social housing to build the council homes, the homes for social rent, the affordable homes we desperately need in London.
The problem in London is that Londoners see homes being built that really aren't going to solve the housing crisis. They see lots of 1- and 2-bedroom flats and not family houses. And people don't want that. They don't want high rises.
The government's new target for London is 81,000 new homes a year. Can you meet that?
No, that target's never been met in London. It's possible, though, to get close to it with the right support from government in terms of legislation and in terms of financial support.
In Ilford, the new flats will soon be home to grateful new tenants. In London's housing lottery, they're the lucky ones. Simon Harris, ITV News, Ilford.
Good evening. It is Europe's largest infrastructure project, HS2, the high-speed railway from London to Staffordshire that was promised to revolutionise travel in Britain. But 15 years after the project was first announced, it is billions of pounds over budget, years behind schedule, and Euston, billed to be the London terminus of the network, is largely a barren brownfield site. But today, finally, some answers and a promise from the government to get a grip of HS2. In what was a blink and you'd miss it moment, the Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, committed to funding tunnelling work between Euston and the new station in West London. With the latest is our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
It's a huge hole in the ground, and for more than a year and a half, it's been untouched. This is the HS2 site at Euston, where work was put on hold after costs ballooned. But today, in her first budget, the Chancellor revived the link from Old Oak Common.
We are securing delivery of the project between Old Oak Common and Birmingham, and we are committing the funding required to begin tunnelling work to London Euston Station.
It was in 2018 that construction work at Euston began, but in March 2023 it was officially paused for 2 years. Then in October, Rishi Sunak pulled taxpayer funding from Euston. HS2 has had a huge impact on the local area. Almost 300 homes and businesses were demolished, and for 7 years, Euston has been a giant construction site. Chris's Cafe has been on the front line since the work began. He calls it his worst nightmare.
They've knocked down a lot of the buildings where we used to get a lot of business from, hotels and whatever. They've blocked off the station from us. They've stopped a lot of the passing trade taxis and whatever that used to stop outside Euston Station.
Drummond Street's popular curry houses have also been left in limbo. The owner of this one says his lunchtime trade has collapsed, but at least there's now light at the end of the tunnel.
Oh, it's a great news, but I just want them to get it done sooner. Sooner it's get it done is better, because we've been dragging on for the last, 10 years. We've been going on, and we're stuck. We don't know where we are.
Today's announcement will see engineers begin to dig the tunnel from Old Oak Common. But it's still not clear how the new station will be bankrolled. The last government was hoping private investors would rescue the project. There are still a lot of unanswered questions, like who pays for the new station.
Yes, we need to wait on further detail, but there's clearly now a commitment that with HS2 coming to Euston, obviously, they need to work out the details on the station. Camden will play its part. We have been advocating for a locally led development corporation.
The first high-speed trains between Old Oak Common and Birmingham should start running by 2033. When they'll finally reach Euston is anybody's guess. Simon Harris, ITV News, Euston.
All right, well, Simon Harris is here as well. So, Simon, HS2, not the only big transport announcement for the capital today, was it?
No, it wasn't. And Sadiq Khan, not surprisingly, was full of praise for this first Labour budget, not least because it included £485 million for Transport for London to spend on big capital projects. Now, that's almost double what the Mayor got from the last Conservative government, but still not the long-term, multi-year funding deal he wanted.
These one-year deals benefit nobody. Not good for the taxpayer, not good for TfL. It means the unit costs are much higher. So once we've allocated the money for 25-26, we then go into future plans for TfL, and that means negotiating with the government for a long-term multi-year capital deal.
The government said the money would pay for new trains on the Piccadilly line and the Elizabeth line, although the Conservatives questioned whether it was actually new money, saying it had been ring-fenced by the previous government, and it's certainly not the £650 million a year that Transport for London would like.
All right, Simon, thank you.
As the capital braces for planned tube strikes through the first half of November, the continuing fallout from the Chancellor's budget could rub salt in the wound for regular passengers. With the announcement that national rail fares are set to rise, there are indications it could also hit the London Underground. Our political correspondent Simon Harris is at Southwark Tube Station for us tonight. And Simon, the signs of this potential increase weren't that obvious, were they?
No, Yasmin, it usually takes at least 24 hours for the full impact of a Chancellor's budget to become clear, and this one was no different. The small print in Rachel Reeves' Budget Red Book has revealed that commuters face an inflation-busting fares increase of 4.6% in March. That means a season ticket from Maidenhead to London, for example, which currently costs £3,868, will go up by £178 next year. But in another surprise, it's also emerged that the fares increase will very likely apply to London Underground. Now, most Londoners will recall that Sadiq Khan froze TfL fares this year in the run-up to the mayoral election. But in yesterday's budget, TfL was given an additional £485 million. And one of the strings attached is that the TfL rail fares must rise in line with national rail fares, so 4.6%.
I think the government's verdict on the Mayor's fares policy is that he has been reckless. He's endangering TfL's finances, he's creating a maintenance backlog, and he needs to stop the reckless fares freezes. So they've given him money, but they have also suspended his fares setting power.
I asked City Hall if the Mayor has any room for manoeuvre, but a spokesperson would only say once a final decision on the 2025 fares package has been made, this will be published as per usual. Meanwhile, London Travel Watch has called on the Mayor to prioritise making bus fares more affordable.
OK, Simon, at Southwark Tube Station, thank you.